But I think a part of that was because I also just really saw acting as fun, and I still do. And I almost
Mm.
feel like I'm cheating at life because I just have fun doing my job. It feels like I'm playing. Um, the parts that feel like work are I gotta be on time.
Mm.
Acting world does not allow for any margin of error when it comes to being late, even though I was late today for this podcast.
Welcome to another Let's Dream Big podcast, the CTA podcast. I am your host, Mark Thompson, your interview expert, back with another explosive podcast. I'm here with a special, very delightful friend I've been knowing since 1998. We actually went to the University of Richmond. This is now going to be called the University of Richmond Alumni Black African American podcast, because that's all I got is all my
Black.
alumni Black. Yeah. I wanted to introduce you to a very good friend of mine. She is an actor, a writer, co-founder of the Grove Theater. She is, let's go ahead and go through this resume, because I said I won't read it all, but I am. But she has been in the original cast production of Mr. Burns, post-electric play, and a Nedra Marie Taylor was originally cast in production of Mr. Burns. I'm reading all this wrong. Never mind. Skip all that. We said we're going to not do all this because it's so much. Her resume is big and loud, folks. Let me let you know some of the things she's actually been in. She's been in Broadway, in the Book of Mormon, Marvin's Room, off Broadway, The House That Will Not Stand, The Underlying Chris, Lost Lake, TV series on the Invasion, Apple TV, Orange is the New Black, in New Orleans, in NCSI New Orleans, and Random Acts of Flyness. Everything, folks. She's a busy woman. She's an incredible woman. If you haven't seen her, check her out. But I want to introduce you all to Miss Nedra Marie Taylor. Give it up. Say hello to the incredible.
Hello, Mark and beautiful people.
I am horrible at introductions. I'm good on some, but you have by far the most. This is people. Let me show you this. Can't see it. She has an incredible resume, and this is why I have her here today on this show, to just showcase the different careers, but an actress. And today we're going to talk about, her life, her career. Tell us who you are. Let's just get started right now. Let's talk about Nedra Taylor. Oh, I have to say Marie. Nedra Marie Taylor. Tell us a little people about who you are. I know you are. I love you to death. But who is Nedra?
Who is Nedra? Nedra is a spiritual being, first and foremost. Nedra is an empath. I'm an INFJ. Capricorn. I'm from a suburb of Maryland called Mitchellville in PG County. My parents are still there. Mark and I went to college together at the University of Richmond. I moved to New York to go to grad school at the Actor Studio Drama School at the New School University. It is now at Pace University. I am also a former professor. I was a professor for 10 years, finished that job in 2021 in order to focus full-time on acting. It has been wonderfully fruitful. I am a wife. I am a dog owner, a home owner, and I love music. I just got a new keyboard this morning. I'm so excited to start playing it. So I love to sing. I love to dance. I love all things that feel really, really fun and exciting and new.
You can do everything. I still remember when you did the cover of Nothing Even Matters at Richmond. That was still to this day. I still remember that to this day. Singing, acting, comedian. Nobody knows. You're funny. Super funny. We've always been clowns.
That means a lot coming from you, because you are one of the funniest people I know. So thank you.
Oh, No. Trust me. We used to have, I mean, the silly stuff. That's the things I think people take for granted. Sometimes it's good to just be silly, but that was the thing I think at Richmond. Seeing you was like, all right, I'm about to die. Somebody, I'm about to laugh. I'm about to cry. Something's about to happen. I can't wait to see Nedra to make me laugh. So good
Yeah,
times, yeah.
thank you. I be trying to tell
But
my friends.
tell them what now?
I said I be trying to tell my friends I'm funny.
You are. I mean, to be on
Thank
the Random Acts of Flyness, that's a funny show. I don't know if people have ever seen it before, but it was hilarious.
you.
It's a very hilarious show. And I was like, this is where yeah. If there was Mad TV and you was on that, you could do that if they brought it back. I could see you
Love
doing
to
that.
do that. Oh my gosh, dream
Yeah.
come true.
Well, let's go ahead and jump into this exciting time. It was good. I'm glad you're here. Definitely for folks that are watching and folks that will be tuning in, we've been showcasing all types of different, careers and decisions that people have made, entrepreneurs, salesmen. We got directors of universities. We got pilots. We got all types of folks coming on this show. And I was like, wow, I have a friend who's an actress. Let's bring her on because there are people who are definitely trying to explore that world or what it looks like and the ins and outs of that, and really want to highlight what you do and showcase that to the people. So, one of my first questions for you is, how is that world? What does that world look like to African Americans from the very beginning when you're very first starting of going into that world? What did it feel? What did it look like? How did it taste? I mean, all the senses.
I love that question because that's the way that I work sensorially, and with the imagination. So thank you for that. Um, you know, there is clearly a lot of work to do in every industry when it comes to diversity and equity. My experience as a privileged, relatively thin, lighter complected Black woman was actually really great. I never felt like I was lacking. Um, but I think a part of that was because I also just really saw acting as fun, and I still do. And I
Mm,
almost feel like I'm cheating at life because I just have fun doing my job. It feels like I'm playing. Um, the parts that feel like work are I gotta be on time.
mm.
The acting world does not allow for any margin of error when it comes to being late. I was late today for this podcast.
Yeah.
Um, and there it's really just deadlines. I feel like maybe it feels like work. Other than that, I'm
Hmm.
like, this is fun. I get to pretend all day. And then when you're doing theater,
Right.
you're like for hours and hours, I'm just playing pretend with
Right.
really fun people. Like it's and then you're just creating, which I
Mm,
think when you're constantly in a state of creation, it keeps you young. It keeps you excited about life. It keeps you curious. It makes you feel like you are living a life that's worth living.
mm.
Am I answering your question?
Hey, you're doing an excellent job. I have some things I can go behind that because, you know, uh, uh, I ask these questions almost the same way in every podcast. How did you discover this was, I mean, it seems like to even be an actress or an actor, this is one of those jobs, this career, this space in your life where as a kid, we all said we wanted to be something. And you did
Mhm.
it. Because I know if I was like, yeah, I want to be an actor, I want to be an actress, I want to be a comedian, you grow up and then you're working at an office, but you're
Yeah.
doing something that most kids will say, that's what I want to be. I want to be like that person. Or there's
Mm.
an idol, and you're doing it, you're definitely doing it. So what inspired you to say, I want to be an actress one day? And
Honestly,
this is who I am.
it was just where my soul led me.
Mm,
I was like most children, would be at home singing, dancing, telling my parents and friends to sit on the couch and put together shows. But a lot of kids do that. I think it's a lovely
right.
form of self-expression and self-actualization. But I never, as a child, knew personally of an example of someone who was thriving in the
Mm,
arts. And all I heard, especially in the early 80s, of what success was like doctor, lawyer.
Right.
And so my view was very limited. And both of my parents worked for the government. They were both first generation college graduates. And so for them, um, life wasn't yet a luxury. Like
Mm-hmm.
your career you chose in order to sustain yourself and your family. And that's how you chose your major when you were in college.
Yeah.
And so growing up, it was I want to be a veterinarian or a pediatrician. I loved kids. I loved animals. I was just drawn to innocence and imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually came into the University of Richmond on a science scholarship because I was going pre-med. They gave me half tuition. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to afford going there.
Oh yeah.
It was still challenging paying half of that tuition.
Right.
And I was fortunate enough that after my first year as a biology major, I was like, something in me is like, I literally can't see myself being a doctor for the rest of my life, but
Right.
I can see myself performing for the rest of my life. Again, I still didn't know what that looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of just on a whim, I was like, I want to change my major from
Mm-hmm.
biology to theater. But I was like, can't lose my scholarship or else I won't be able to stay here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went to Dr. Cade and was like, hey, so here's the deal. Can I keep my scholarship and change my major? And they said yes. I don't know why or how they
Look at
said
God.
yes, but I stayed a Sigma Scholar and changed my major to theater, picked up a minor in dance, and then also picked up a minor in leadership studies just to appease my dad, who was really, really worried about his daughter becoming an actor. I still at that point didn't know what a career in acting would look like. I just knew I was majoring in it because I loved it. But I wasn't thinking, I'm going to go to New York and be an actor. It was never a thought. I graduated, went home to Maryland that summer. I was working like a summer job. My boyfriend from high school called me to congratulate me on graduating and said, so what are you doing next? I was like, oh, I applied to some grad schools in acting, but they're too much. And he was like, well, are you crazy? He's like, ever
Mm.
since I've known you, you loved theater. You want to go to Broadway. Like, he had to remind me of my dreams in high school. Apparently, I
Mm.
guess I had a dream of going to Broadway. He was like, you've always
Maybe.
dreamed of going to Broadway. You have to go to New York. And I was like, he's right. So a week before school started at the Actor Studio Drama School, I had gotten into Columbia University in the Actor Studio. I went to the Actor Studio because Columbia was like $50K a year at the time. And I was like, I'm not going
Wow.
to be paying debt. So I chose the Actor Studio because it was cheaper. They thought I did. It was the training that I needed. And it was
Mm-hmm.
there that I really started to learn the craft and fall in love with the craft and
Mm.
realize why I was drawn to it. And then I just deepened my craft. And then after graduating from there, I was like, now I feel like an actor. And now I don't really know what to do. So I had to figure that out over the next 20 years of my life, figuring out how to navigate the business. Because
Right.
90% of it is business and 10% of it is actually acting, you know?
Mm-hmm. And that is
Um,
powerful.
yeah. So it was a journey that I didn't necessarily prepare myself for. It just kind of happened. Whim after whim after whim. Following joy, and then following joy. That was it.
Right. Right. This just to be able to dream, start going towards your dream, forget about your dreams, and then going right back at it. This is what you kind of describe is what we try to train and teach people when searching for the career that you want to be in, because it's really the fulfilling piece is what you're trying to find. You're not trying to find just the money, because then you end up living miserable for a long time in your
Absolutely.
life. And if you want to be alive, if you want to feel good about yourself and live this life, because really, none of this stuff really matters, but what you really spoke about is the fulfillment, it's purpose. What I say, there are things that we're here on this earth and we're supposed to be driving towards because it is our assignment. And as long as we're doing that, you can feel 100% fulfillment. You feel great, you feel love, you feel joy, you feel peace. And that's how you live a fulfilled life, or what I also say, a wide life. A lot of people think it's time. It's the wide life, what you do with the time that you have on this earth. And what
Mm,
you are doing is amazing. It is amazing because you just said, you know what, I'm going to answer the call of my dreams. I'm going to fulfill or do the things that make me feel great. And I'm giving back. You're supporting, you're helping, you're entertaining, you're showing people who Nedra is, but also putting smiles on people and warming their hearts. That's
mm,
the life, you know. Um, it's just kind of hard to do that sometimes, but again, the grind is necessary. You do have to go through the different stages. You know, we talked
oh,
about some of these
yes.
things in prior podcasts about after we got out of college. I think we all did the same thing. We finished and it was like, well, what's next? The first thing we
Mhm,
do is you go home and reset. I don't know what it is about going home, but we go
mhm,
home and reset and it's like, I don't know. And there's an awakening. It's either a phone call, it's either a friend, it's either your parents, it's somebody who starts to give you that
yeah,
little bit of nudge. And I think that's the real nudge after college. And it happens for some people after high school, but that push out of the nest to go ahead and
mm,
fly when you've already had your wings. It's like, that's it. Go fly. Yeah.
yeah. That's exactly how I experienced it. It's nice to hear that other people experience the same thing. I think especially for our generation, we didn't necessarily come out of college and there was a job market waiting for us.
Right.
Um, or there were job opportunities that were already after us when we were in school. Maybe
Right.
for some people, I don't know those people, but maybe there were. And so we did have a moment in time where like reality kind of lifted for a second. You're like, wait, what am I gonna do?
Right.
Oh no. And that those moments in life can be a little bit scary, but also so freeing.
Right.
Um, because you're forced to listen to your own spirit, to God, to whatever it is that you believe in, to find the answer instead of outside forces dictating to you what you should do next, you know?
Right.
But I agree with you. I think following joy is it, honestly, with everything. But it's not without its struggles. My goodness, there was a period in time where because I chose what I chose to do instead of moving forward as a doctor, um, and I'll get back to that. But what's crazy is there were very close friends of mine in my class who I was taking biology with, taking chemistry with,
Hmm.
who continued through and went to med school and now make plenty of money,
Oh yeah.
live in big mansions, like, the life. Um, and so I know that that path would have led me there, but for me, to what end? Because my
Right.
my my true joy wasn't there. And so
Hmm.
I'll take the path that I took over that path any day, even though it was
Hmm.
super challenging, especially financially challenging. I'm not going to pretend now that money
Right.
doesn't make a big difference in comfort because I've
Right.
been broke and on food stamps and on, having to
Really?
send
You
you
don't
the
feel
subway money. And oh yeah. Oh yeah. I was on not Medicaid. What's the free healthcare? Yeah, Medicaid.
uh-huh.
And food stamps and unemployment. I was doing all the government help. And
Government.
one time in particular, I remember I was so broke. And I think either I just got fired from my job or work just wasn't coming in. Like I had a bunch of different side jobs.
Hmm.
Um, and I had been wanting to do a master cleanse just to like, cleanse, detox the body. And I was like,
Hmm.
no, looked at my bank account, it was coughing back at me. And I was like, I guess this is the time. Let me go get some lemons with these few cents that I got left and do a master cleanse for 10 days while I sing in the subway to make some cash. And that's exactly what I
Wow.
did. Yeah.
Wow. I never knew that. You should have called me. No, I'm just playing. But that's life. I mean, we go through our downs, when they say you go through the bottom and you got to come back up to the top. We've all in some way or some form to get to where we are today, because now you can shout hallelujah. I mean, every step that it takes to drive towards your success has to go through the bottom. You have to go down and start
Absolutely.
somewhere. you know. So,
Absolutely.
but wow, I mean, what an
Yeah.
incredible story that you have. This is I'm learning something new, and that's why I'm taking notes. Because I'm like, man, we need to talk after this. I didn't know. We're gonna pray after this.
Mhm. Yeah.
We got to thank God for everything, right? But no,
Absolutely.
this is good. I didn't even, we're going in some into the questions. So today the topic is navigating the career success of a Black thespian. You're doing it. I didn't have to go into any of the questions. I mean, the challenges you said as far as trying to find success. I mean, I think we all have heard the stories of African American actors and actresses trying to get in and find their way. And it's not easy. And sometimes we're always, I think I know just from reading that you're either in New York or you're in LA. Pick one of the
Mhm.
two.
Mhm.
Is that still the same today, or
Yeah.
can people find other avenues to get into the acting world?
That's a great question. People can absolutely find other avenues. There's so many avenues these days, especially now that we have the internet and social media.
Mm.
The biggest markets for entertainment are New York and LA still,
Mm.
but there's now a really big market in the Atlanta area. There's a smaller market in Chicago, in DC, in Florida. But if you're talking like being on the big screen, being on Broadway, of course you have to be in New York.
Right.
Um, doing series regulars on television, you'll probably have a more successful and quicker way in New York or LA.
Mm.
Once you kind of get going and you get some stuff on your resume and you feel like I have a really strong resume, I'm getting really good auditions, you don't really have to stay in one of those markets.
Mm.
Because now what's happening is they're doing a lot of auditions virtually. So you don't have
Mm.
to be in New York or LA to go to an audition. You can just do a self-tape from wherever you are in the world and send
Right.
it in. And you book a job or you need to go for a callback. Then you can fly to wherever you need to fly, you know? Um, so it's much easier to have a more affordable, enjoyable, full life these days instead of sort of just grinding for years and years in one city. But it absolutely does help to be in one of those bigger
Hmm.
markets. That's still where the majority of the work is produced and cast, New York and LA. Atlanta is definitely getting up there.
Oh, is that with Tyler Perry and some of the other
That's
groups
part
out
of
there?
it, part of the
Mhm.
market, yeah. But there's other studios that are now working out of Atlanta, and but yeah, Tyler Perry definitely like
Mm.
created a big start boost for that
Right.
market.
Good. Let me tap back into auditions because I think there's a good parallel between folks interviewing and then auditions. But how does an actor prepare for auditions? I mean, is it a lot of practice, or is it somewhat a good? Are they asking you questions about your life and stuff, and then going to auditions, or just straight up just go act this script? This is what you got. I want
Yeah,
you to do this.
yeah. Every audition is different. Every actor approaches every audition different, and every casting director or director sort of has their own way of auditioning people. But there is like a standard template, and it's this. There's something called the breakdown services. They release casting notices every day, Monday and
Mm.
Friday, to all the professional representatives in business, managers, agents. Oh no, yes, managers, agents. Um, they see all of these casting breakdowns, and then they look at their roster of actors, and they go, "Oh, I want to submit Nedra for this audition for Law and Order," you know?
Mm.
So then they'll take my headshot, my resume, my whole package, send it to a casting director who's casting for Law and Order and say, you know, we want to submit Nedra for this project. If the casting director thinks that I'm right for the audition, then they'll respond to my manager or agents and say, great, I want to see Nedra for this role. They'll give me a time, they'll give me pages of the script to study and to learn. And then they'll set up the audition. So there's a few
Mm.
steps that have to happen before I actually get the audition on my end. So then my managers or agents email me, hey, we have an audition for you. I can actually at this point say, I'm not interested in this, or I can say,
Mm,
absolutely, this is exciting. Thank you. And I will immediately print out those pages of the script they want me to learn. I'll start marking them up, highlighting them, learning my lines. And that looks like me um, recording the other character's lines, usually on my phone, so that I can
mm-hmm,
practice with the other character's lines. If it's a really big stakes audition, I'll call an actor friend or someone that I help that helps me with
mm,
audition, and we'll rehearse that way. I'll just say the lines over and over and over again. And with the repetition, I start to quickly memorize the lines. I also start to internalize the character's feelings, their experience, what they're going through. I start asking questions and being like a
mm,
detective, like, what's happening for this character in this moment? What are they thinking? What was their motivation here? What do they really need? And I basically start to psychoanalyze them. And then
mm.
I find a way to personally connect to what the character is going through so that by the time I get to my audition, whatever I'm giving them in the audition feels truthful and not like I'm
Right.
playing the idea of a character, but I'm actually living through my own body, whatever that experience is. So
Mm,
that either these days you'll do a Zoom audition, someone will read with you over Zoom. You'll do an in-person audition, which is just starting again after COVID
mm.
and after the strike. That used
Right.
to be also everything will be in person. Or you do a self-tape, which means that you set up your light, you set up your camera, you have to have a blank
Mm,
wall behind you. You do everything. It's a lot. You find somebody to read lines with you, or you read them yourself and record them, which is what I do because it's easier and faster.
right.
You're not really supposed to do that. Um, and so then you record. Then you have to go into your phone, edit everything, upload it, send it, and
Mm-hmm.
that's your self-tape audition. I prefer going in person because I don't like to do all that work. I just want to focus on
Right.
acting.
Right.
And luckily, they're starting to open up and do some of that again. I had 2 of them yesterday, so that was really nice.
Hey, that's good. No, that's good.
Indeed.
I just got educated a lot. I'm man. It's you still got to do your homework, and that's what you basically are kind of displaying. It. You got to do your
Yeah.
homework. You got to be prepared. I'm pretty sure you do research on the directors as well to kind of get a
Yep.
feel for what they may be looking for, and it prepares
Mhm.
you. And there's some great parallels to normal job. It's the same thing, and I think a lot of people take that for granted when you're going to interview for a job. You have to do your homework and research because,
Yeah.
again, the one thing you said, I'm going to say no or yes. This may not be the role for me. Same way as a career, this may not be the job for me. I don't care how much it's paying. If you get into something that you don't like and they put you in a situation that you're uncomfortable with, then you're doing it for the money. Then you're not going to be happy. We don't want to be in unhappy situations. So no, that's good. It's closely related. It's still there. And you do have to have a skill, and you have to do it well. Um,
Mhm.
is it the same with commercials and the same type of process, or are they a lot faster with the process?
Yeah, that's
And
commercial quicker. You're exactly right. Usually they will my commercial agent, who's separate from my resident agent for television
mm,
and theater, they will email me and maybe a day or two before and say, hey, we got an audition for you. And so for commercial auditions, you just kind of gotta be available all the time, which isn't realistic, you know. Um, but they love actors who are just available all the time.
right.
And so they'll say, hey, got an audition. They'll email you all the information for the audition. Um, and for the most part, for commercials, you just say yes, unless you're
Hmm.
like out of the country or you're shooting another project or something. But you
Right.
figure out a way to make it happen. That was one of my auditions yesterday. It was for a commercial for DraftKings, and
Oh,
they'll also send you the little sides or whatever the sides or the
we're gonna see
script.
you in North Carolina. We just got it passed. We can do all the betting down here, so we're probably gonna see you
Oh,
on
that's
TV.
right. That's
Yeah,
right.
they're going heavy on the
Yeah,
advertisement. My daughter is like, "I hate FanDuel." I was like, "I'm sorry." It's on TV every 10 seconds.
it ain't playing. North Carolina is
Mm,
about to be inundated. Anyway,
right,
Um, yeah, it's just a quicker process. And it's usually a little bit easier because you have much less text to memorize. You
right.
don't have to for the most part, connect as deeply emotionally. You still have to be truthful, but commercials are usually situations that are really easy to sort of recreate. Like I'm just talking to my husband, or I'm just looking at my
Right.
phone, or I'm just eating some McDonald's fries. Like I eat every day, so I don't really have to like do a
Right.
whole lot of acting work to connect to commercials. But man, let me tell you, when you book a national syndicated spot, that or two in 1 year, that can be a really, really, really nice payday. And for a while, I kind of wrote off commercials because I was like, I'm not a commercial actor. I don't, I want to focus on theater, which pays pennies, by the way.
Right.
Unless you're a star on Broadway, then it pays really nicely. But, and then crazy thing, went natural. And started growing my hair out. And for a while, it was up in this little like curly poof. And let me tell you, those commercial people ate it up. I was still the same person. It was literally
Right.
just my hair changed. And I immediately started getting attention in the commercial world and started booking all
Right.
these commercials because my look was more marketable and it was in at the time for commercials. And once I started getting that commercial money, I was like, I see what all those actors were telling me all the time. They were like, you need to focus on commercials. You need, because
Right.
what it did, but it gives you a cushion and it relieves you of all that financial stress.
Yes.
And you can focus even more on craft. And on the real, not real, on the more high stakes auditions that are coming through, And commercials are just, they're a lot of fun to do.
Yeah.
Like every single commercial I've ever shot was just, it was just fun. And they feed you real good. And yeah, I had
And
nothing
I
against it.
think you were on the Girl Scouts. It was a Girl Scouts commercial.
Oh goodness, yes. Girl
Yeah.
Scouts. I've done Capital One. I did a Pillsbury holiday spot that ran for years. And several others, just kind of, lots of commercials. Some
Do they
regional,
still
some
do
national.
like you get and this is I don't know for people who don't know, do they still do it the same way as like they can pay you a lump sum or they can pay you residuals based on the commercial showing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, both. So you get paid for the spot once you actually shoot it and the job is done. And then depending on how, when, and where the commercial plays, you'll get residual checks. Sometimes they're smaller, depending. There is a market for like online commercials. And then there's a market for like Super Bowl commercials,
Yeah.
which, the residuals are lovely, but maybe they're only one or two, and then you never see the commercial again. So it really
Right.
depends on what market it's playing in, when it's playing, on what channel, all that good stuff.
Good. Yeah. I too went to theater at the University of Richmond, theater 101. It's the only class I took. They I
Hey, who
forgot the
was your
professor.
teacher? Do you remember?
What's the guy? He wore the hat, he had glasses. He was in a few commercials. I forgot.
Walter Sean?
It might have been Walter. That sounds familiar. Yeah. I
Uh-huh.
don't remember. I don't know why I don't remember any professors except for a few. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it might have been him. It had to be him. He's the only guy I knew. He wanted
He's
me
lovely.
to join the next semester. I said, I'm graduating. I'm sorry. So,
Oh,
but I know what he was looking for. He needed more us on that stage, and it wasn't a lot,
yeah.
So I got it.
Not,
That's all he was trying to do.
yeah,
I was
at
a
the
natural.
time, you really are. I mean that with all of my being. Like, if you ever said to me, you know what, I'm quitting everything and I want to go into acting, I would be like, bet, let's do this. You're gonna do really good, well, because you just have that thing that not everyone has. But at the time, for 2 years, I was
Mhm.
the only, not only the only Black person, but the only person of color at the theater department at the University of Richmond.
Mm.
And then in my junior year, Shantae Schuler showed up.
Mhm.
And I was like, thank God. Now there's two of
Right.
us. And so there were only two of us for a couple of years, and I graduated. And crazy enough, Shantae moved up to New York after she graduated and came to the actor's studio. And she graduated, I think, in 3 years. So she might have just been
Wow.
maybe she was still 2 years under me. I don't know. But she came to the same grad school as me, but she didn't finish because she started booking Broadway shows.
Wow.
um, and and did really, really well. But I think that was perhaps the only time in my trajectory as an actor that I felt a little bit discriminated against and pretty
Mm,
lonely as a Black person. Um, I mean, absolutely, there are less opportunities for us in this business. It's just we don't run this business. We're just
right.
employed by this business. It's
Right.
definitely changing. Like the fact that Oprah has her own network and Tyler Perry has his own studio. Like this stuff didn't
Right.
exist 20, 30 years ago. Um,
Exactly.
but even still, white folks run this industry as they do with most industries in this company, in this country, because
Hmm.
of how this country was founded. Um, and so, because of that, absolutely less opportunities for us. But I think because I came from a town growing up where Black people were the majority,
Oh yeah.
I
Middle class
didn't
is
grow up.
big in Maryland.
Yeah, yeah, I didn't grow up with that scarcity mindset, so I don't think I've ever had it. I just knew that discrimination existed. I just knew that there were less opportunities for us, but I never thought, man, I'm not going to work. Man, this really sucks for me because I'm Black. Like, I think I grew up feeling empowered as a Black person, so I never felt slighted because I was a Black
Mhm.
person. But it
You
didn't make
mean to
me
tell me you didn't
blind.
get any slave roles? None? I'm joking.
That's actually a good question. I mean, yes. But honestly, I played a slave in a musical many years
Mm,
ago. But it was written by Black people because it was
mm,
about a historical Black slave figure named Denmark Vesey.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
I'm trying to think, have I ever played a slave? I auditioned for 12 Years a Slave.
Really?
Um, and didn't get it clearly because I wasn't in it, but not for the Beaches role. Look at me.
Oh, no, of
There,
course.
there was
Yeah.
another role near the beginning. What did you say?
And I said, of course, we already know where the lighter skinned Black folks would have been, and it wouldn't be you. Not, no.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Okay. Sorry.
There was
What
a
do you
role
mean?
for a light-skinned Black woman, Black Southern slave. And I think that is unless I'm totally blanking on my experience as a Black person in the industry. My only
Mm,
experience as a slave, I did play a Ugandan, which is problematic, in the
mm,
Book of Mormon on Broadway. I don't look traditionally Ugandan.
right.
Neither did most of the cast of Ugandans, but that was a very white-led show.
Mm,
And in my
mm,
humble opinion, maybe not so humble, um, definitely had some racism weaved into the fabric of that show.
wow.
But the creators were the same creators of South Park, and their
Mm,
thing is irreverence. And
right.
so I think people just kind of accepted it for what it was. Um, so that was a pretty uncomfortable thing to be a part of every day.
Hmm.
Glad I wasn't there for too long, just 6 months.
Right.
Um, there's definitely some offensive things in that show about
Mm,
Ugandans, about Africans, about the continent. Yeah.
right. Is
Um,
that something when you got into it at first, you didn't have that sense it was going or getting a little dark in some of the areas of what they were producing?
no, I did. I mean, before you do a Broadway show, you have to actually watch the show and see it. And so I was very aware, but the show is, in my opinion, so funny and the
Hmm.
music is so good that a lot of people kind of forgive the racist jokes because you're just like,
Mm,
it's South Park.
yeah.
We grew up with that
30
kind of
years.
offensive humor. Yeah. And so the jokes, um, I don't think hit me the way that they were hitting other people because I was just like,
Mm,
it's a joke.
right.
Until a friend of mine came to see me in the show who is Ugandan.
Mm,
And after the show, I saw her face and she wanted to be happy for me, but I could see how offended and hurt she was by it. And I was like, right, this is
right.
why. is so wrong.
Wow.
And um, for white folks, it's all in good fun, until
Mhm.
someone whose heritage you're making fun of is deeply hurt, offended, and misunderstood and
Which is
misrepresented. Um,
generally Black folks everywhere, right? Yeah.
oh yeah, oh yeah, and I
Yeah.
think we've gotten used to it in a
Mhm.
sense. Um, and I think once lives start being taken and the recording of those lives being taken starts hitting the internet is when we're finally like, okay, this ain't cool anymore.
Right.
You've literally been killing us
Right.
for centuries. We can't stand for it anymore.
Right.
Um, so I think we've always felt that way, but perhaps didn't have the tools and the empowerment to fight back in a way that is long lasting. I hope we're
Mm.
there. How do we deal with this subject? But I hope
Hey,
we're there.
it's good. No, this is great content right here. I mean, we're talking about some things that it's a part of the world. I mean, I can shift gears real quick if we need to, because I am interested in, especially you being a co-founder of the Grove Theater. Is this kind of an entrepreneurship type thing as well, or explain that?
Um, this was another like spirit led adventure. I was seeing a lot of theater in New York City that was written by Black playwrights that starred an entirely Black cast, was very specifically about Black stories, but being directed by white women, being
Mm,
produced at white theaters, and being presented to white audiences. And it was happening over and over in the same pattern. And I was
mm,
like, what is going on? So I started talking to my colleagues about it, and they were also confused and frustrated and wondering, like, why isn't there a Black director? Why isn't there a Black theater that can do the same thing that these theaters are doing? And why are these plays reaching our communities, the people who are written
mm,
about? And so I thought this has to change. Like, why isn't anybody doing anything about this? And so I started casually having a lot of conversations with people, colleagues. And
mhm,
then I decided, you know what? We need our own off Broadway complex that is
mm,
centrally located in Manhattan. It didn't exist and it still doesn't currently exist. All of the off Broadway complexes, meaning huge structures with multiple theater spaces inside of them, all
mhm.
of them are white owned. And so I was like, that has changed. I don't know how to do that, but I'm gonna start the process. And so in 2020, during the resurgence of Black Lives Matter movement, I was like, the time is now.
Right.
And so I contacted a couple of people who I'd been talking about this idea with, and we started the ball rolling. I created a vision deck for what the space might look like, just went wild. Like, what would a
Mm,
dream space look like? And we came up with the name of Grove in order to honor the first African American owned theater in Manhattan called the African Grove in the 1800s. And decided it would be an eco-friendly space, um, centrally located so that it was accessible from all boroughs, Black owned, Black producing, Black supporting. And we officially became a 501c3 last year,
oh,
and we are
wow.
working to lay groundwork in order to start healing work, which is a big part of our mission. It's
Mhm,
healing the community, both near and far.
mm,
And so that's what the Grove is. We don't even have a space. We haven't even begun talking real estate. You just got our own bank account. Okay. So that's where
mhm.
we are. We're like laying foundational groundwork,
And you
building
gotta
up
do
our
that.
vision, expanding our team, establishing a board, all of those things. And then,
Right.
further down the line, a couple of years, we'll get into capital campaign and start talking about finding a space, which in Manhattan
Mm,
is crazy to think about. I mean, it's a multi-million-dollar project, but I'm up
right.
for it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is amazing. This is amazing because it's now looking at the gaps, what you've gone through, what you've seen, what you see in your field, the career, the thespian space, Black African Americans needing that outlet and space, and then challenging yourself to say, I'm going to be the catalyst to this creation and starting that. And that's beautiful. We're almost parallel, because the same reason why I started Career Transformation Academy is the same way I thought about, the difference. I think if I'm going back to what we talked about earlier, is when we graduated from school, we didn't have a network. And the difference between us and other races, especially Caucasian, they have a network already. You can graduate from school and their parents are like, hey, I got Jim on a call. You can go work for his company.
Mm-hmm.
I go to my
Mm-hmm.
parents, well, what you gonna do? So it's
Yep,
a different space. And it's like, we
absolutely.
have to do better in these gaps and fill in the gaps. And those gaps end up becoming larger and bigger picture things, while we put a footprint into this earth or what is important, not only to us, but a purpose that we're serving. So that's beautiful. I'm seeing so much amazing things from your vision and your dream, and it's going to be huge. It's going to be incredible. I'm saying it right now. It's definitely going to be incredible when you see things like that are going to make an impact, and that not only leaves a legacy of what you're trying to do. There's going to be someone who grows up that ends up being a part of something you created that's going to
Mm-hmm.
change their lives. And that's the beauty of living your dream. That's the beauty of living your purpose, because you're not here on this earth for yourself. You're here for other people. So that's beautiful.
Absolutely.
I
Be
appreciate
of
you for
service.
starting the Grove Theater, because yeah, great. This is
Thank
great.
you. Thank
This
you,
is
Mark.
great.
Same to you.
I know we've tackled a lot of the questions, and I like how we talked about, everything I had on the list, we did it organically. So I'm not even going to read it like I'm in a book, but I would ask you this. This is one of the last questions. So two questions. What advice would you give young Black actors that want to start today? What would you give them? Any advice?
First thing, find someone who's doing it. Find somebody who is doing what you want to do, and ask if they can mentor you. Maybe even just ask them for advice. I can't tell you how many times a month someone contacts me that I've never met before, or a
Mm,
friend or a family member says, hey, my such and such's niece wants to be an actor. And they
right.
text me, or they call me, or they email me. I'm like, send them on over. It can be a really daunting start to becoming an actor, because there's a lot of things that you have to get first before you just start acting. Um, and a lot of times you just need someone to guide you through it. I will also say the internet is such a fantastic resource. Um, there are people out here on YouTube teaching people acting technique, teaching
Mm,
them step by step how to get a good headshot. Um, you can Google just about anything as far as acting is concerned, and there's another professional actor out there on YouTube telling you how to do it. They'll tell you exactly what a day on set looks like. They'll tell you exactly how to get an agent. Um, I had zero of those resources, including a mentor when I first started. So I had to figure it out from scratch.
mhm.
If that is you, whoever's watching this, and you're like, you know, I don't have access to a mentor. I don't know where to start on YouTube. Get a headshot and create a resume, even if it only has whatever productions you've done in high school on it, because that's where I started too, my resume. That's what you need first. It is the thing that you will have to have for every single audition. You'll have to give them a picture of you, a headshot, boom, boom, and the resume, just to let them know who you are, um, what your skills are, how tall you are.
Mm,
um, Also, I found in my career that creating a list of all of the creators that I really admire and love or want to work with, creating a list of the shows and movies that I love,
mm,
um, and the actors whose trajectory and whose work I really admire really helps to guide me as far as my career goes. Like the choices that I make, the things that I go after, the way that I present myself to the world, the parts of me that I want to get better at. And so I find that to be really helpful. I hold that list dear. When people ask, like, what type of work do you like to do? Who do you like? And I'm always like, got it. I already know the answers to these
Right.
questions. There's so many other things to tell a young actor to do, like
Yeah.
how to find auditions. And that's like, it's a whole workshop. But those,
Yeah.
I think, are really helpful ways to start.
No, that's amazing. That is good information. So, when I start out and get into acting, I'm probably going to get all the, book slave roles. But,
No.
that's a start. It's a start. Just me and my buddy, we're both he's 6'5", I'm 6'4", and he's like, yeah, me and you would have been in Django. We would have been in Django Part 2.
On top of somebody's horse somewhere.
Yeah. What was that on that neck? Okay. Yeah, that's us. But no, this is incredible. I'm about to wrap up, but for you, if anybody wants to reach out to you, how can someone connect out to? What is your acting name? Is it Nedra Marie? Is that it?
It used to be I changed
Okay.
my name twice, just a whole other podcast, but my current name, yes, is Nedra Marie Taylor. That's
Okay.
my professional name. That is my legal name. That is my name across the board. It used to be Nedra Replied. That's how I was born,
Yeah.
Nedra Marie Replied. And then it was Nedra with an I, Sunat there.
There you go. Almost said it.
Spiritual awakening moment.
Yes.
But now it's Nedra Marie Taylor, now that I'm married to Terrence Taylor.
And congrats, Terrence. That's a man right there. Shout out to North Carolina. See how my voice went southern right there.
Wilmington, North Carolina.
Yep.
If you're fine, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on TikTok. I'm very slowly trying to build something there.
It's another beast.
On
It's a whole another beast.
I know it is. At Nedra Marie Taylor on both platforms.
That's great. That's great. So, reach out to Nedra if you have questions, if you want to learn more. Shout out to the Caramel Honeys too. I don't think I forgot about them. But definitely appreciate you for joining me. This is a great time. I mean, I think we could do this for about another 2 hours if we wanted to. But
seriously,
I definitely wanted to just thank you again. And folks, you can find Career Transformation Academy on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn at Career Transformation Academy. And we're also on TikTok, which is a beast, but it's growing, at The Blueprint by CTA, where we're giving you nuggets, dropping simple information topics, things like this, tidbits, also podcast snippets as well. But if you really want to learn how to get that dream job, how to get the job that lasts forever and gives you fulfillment, you can join our course on www.careertransformationacademy.com, where me and my team are ready to serve you and show you how to get to your bag. We are not playing around. We're definitely supporting people and showing people how to do it and making it easy and fun for you to live your dreams. So contact us. We're here again. Special, awesome podcast. Nedra, this was a lot of fun. I appreciate you and thank you so much. I can't pay you, but I'm paying you friendship.
Pay me enjoying the friendship today, Mark. I'm so proud of you and all the work that you're doing. Seriously, you are in the pocket, and I'm not at all surprised because you've always been a special human being, but I'm just proud of the work that you're doing, and I'm honored that you even asked me to be a part of it. So thank you.
Oh, that is awesome. That's special. And thank you. I always said the same thing about you. Once you sang that song, I was like, I'm done. She's about to blow up. You don't understand how many times me and my daughter look, I know her. You took a picture of her when you were a baby. She was like, I did. I'm like, look, this is her. Oh, I know superstars. I'm like, yes, you do. You know superstars. Daddy knows superstars too. All right. Yeah, she's 7. So, but thanks. I appreciate you again. We're signing off. Peace, everybody.
Peace.